Hello, welcome to Calabasas Teen Forum. I'm your host, Max Goldwasser. Calabasas Teen Forum is an opportunity for panelists to voice their opinions about topics of the day. Today's topic is preparing for college. And our panelists are Ashley Ben-Perot. She's an 11th grader at Calabasas High School. She's interested in studying broadcast journalism and is looking at Chapman, USC, and UCSB. Brad Luther, he's an 11th grader at Calabasas High School. He's interested in studying business or engineering and is looking at UCLA. Rusty Rastami, he's an 11th grader at Calabasas High School. He's going to the London Business Institute over the summer. He's interested in studying business and is looking at USC and Michigan. Patrick Guardian, he's an 11th grader at Calabasas High School. He's interested in med school and is looking at UCLA. Amin Ismail, he's an 11th grader at Calabasas High School. He's interested in studying pre-med or biology and is looking at UCLA, UPenn, and Michigan. Kinsey Marker, she's an 11th grader at Calabasas High School. She's interested in studying biology, sports medicine, or kinesiology and is looking at UCSB, UCSD, and Claremont McKenna. Again, our topic is preparing for college. Ashley, junior year is a very important year. There's a lot to consider. There is a high school counselor at every high school for the students. Do you have an outside of school college counselor?
Yes, I do have an outside of school college counselor.
And what do you think is the advantage of having that over just the counselor in the high school?
I think the advantages are you get a lot more one-on-one time with your counselor. They help you through the process of sending in your applications, preparing for your ACTs/SATs, whichever you may be taking. I just think you get a lot more help, whereas during school hours, they don't have much time to see you.
Mm-hmm. It's more personal outside of school with the college counselor. Kinsey, you have a college counselor as well?
I do have a college counselor as well, and I think it's really helpful in helping decide what schools I want to go to because I get more insight, and a school counselor isn't just for college, and I think having an outside of school college counselor that's specified for helping students find the right school for them is really helpful.
I mean, you don't have a college counselor, and are you comfortable with just your counselor at the high school?
I mean, yeah, she tells me what classes to take at my high school, and I do all the studying on my own. Just get A's is my, yeah.
Brad, do you have an opinion on this?
Same thing as Amin. Just if I can do it myself, I see like that's just what I need to do. I don't need anything more.
Patrick?
I don't have a college counselor. I'm fine. I know my brother and sister both had college counselors, so I will probably get one. But as of right now, I'm fine with a school counselor just helping me through a not as personal process of choosing classes. And when I start thinking more seriously about where I'm going to be attending and how I'm going to go about the process, I'll sign up for a college counselor.
And that makes sense. And some things that college counselors do, along with the high school counselor, they help you figure out what might help you stand out on your application. Do you guys have any opinions on what you think might help yourself personally stand out on your application? Rusty, do you have?
Yeah, I think you have to do things that are more in the real life realm, like internships and things like that, that really give you real life experience. I think that really makes you stand out towards whatever you want to do.
And Amin, do you have?
Yeah, I mean, you have to work outside of school other than getting grades nowadays. It's not as easy to get into college. I mean, for one, I go to the hospital and work in real life experiences to make sure like I can connect with the real world.
Ashley?
Yes, I think it's very important to have extracurriculars outside of school. I'm a dancer and I do acting, and I feel like being involved in different programs outside of school gives me a greater advantage to get into the arts programs I want to at specific schools. It shows that I have individuality and that I put in the extra step to get where I want to be instead of spending the 6 hours a day at school.
And all these things also show like real world experience, which I know is really important for a lot of the colleges.
Yes.
Another thing that's really stressed about in junior year is grades. Most people think that you need to maybe overschedule and take the hardest classes. Do you think this is a problem, or do you think it's necessary with all the competition now to get into college? Patrick?
I don't think it's a problem taking the hardest classes you can take as long as you can handle it. If you are an average student getting B's and you decide to take a straight full course of APs and honors, it's probably not the best idea. But definitely challenging yourself a bit more junior year is a good idea. Just make sure it's within reach and possible.
Kinsey?
I definitely think that colleges want to see a hard curriculum, and it's important to challenge yourself, and I think colleges realize that. But at the same time, you don't want to push yourself to do an AP class where you're going to get a C. You'd rather take an honors class or a college prep class where you're going to get an A and succeed in those classes.
So you feel that if you should maybe take the more manageable classes and do well in those, then take the more challenging ones and maybe struggle a little bit in those?
If you can struggle and get the A or struggle and get the B in an AP class, I think it's definitely worth it, and I think colleges like to see that. But if you know that the AP classes aren't going to be for you and it's going to be too much of a struggle, especially with extracurriculars in mind, then I think going for an easier course is a smart idea.
Brad, what do you have to say about overscheduling?
The thing is, like, I think that colleges, they like to see that you're pushing yourself and they like to see that you have APs and honors. But like Kinsey said, if you can't get a good grade, there's no point to even try it, because they see that you want to do it, but you can't get a good grade. So they want to see that you're pushing yourself, but to the extent that you can do well. So don't just take classes just to take classes. Take classes because you're going to do well in it.
Another thing to consider outside of just the grades in the classroom is, you know, what tests to take outside of it, like the subject tests that are available, SAT, ACT. Have you guys taken the SAT and the ACT? Rusty, what was your decision between the SAT and the ACT? What?
Actually, I took both. I think I took the SAT 3 times and the ACT twice. I think personally I like the SAT better, but it's really depends on what kind of thinker you are, whether you're more logic-based or knowledge-based. And I think it's really specific in terms of what kind of student you are and what kind of person you are.
Did you take subject tests as well?
I took one subject test. I'm going to take more this year.
Do you feel that the preparation for it, do you feel maybe it was very time-consuming, or do you think it was appropriate for?
I think it's definitely time-consuming, but at the end of the day, schools are different. So your GPA isn't a reflection of what kind of student you are always, because some schools can be easier than others. So to have one standardized test that they go by, which is the same across the board for everybody, is important, because you guys are being judged on the same basis.
That makes sense. Ashley, do you have?
I, on the other hand, haven't taken my ACTs or my SATs yet, but I am studying for them. And I chose to take the ACT over the SAT because I'm not as much knowledge-based as I am logic-based. And I am not the student that has the 4.2 GPA. I do have a lower GPA, but I work really hard on the other parts of my application that are going to get me into college, because it's not just about what your GPA is, what your ACT or SAT scores are. I'm not taking subject tests. I'm not saying that's going to limit my opportunities for college. I can get into the same university as these kids, because if you push yourself, like you were saying earlier, into extracurriculars, it could really help you out.
And you were saying that you did the dancing and the acting outside of school,
Yeah.
so those are the extracurriculars that will help you look more
Yes.
appealing to the colleges.
Yeah.
Patrick, do you?
I think Ashley made a really good point. And to jump back to what we were talking about earlier, whether over scheduling with the APs and the honors, whether it's too much, even if you can get good grades in those classes, I think it's important not to have, if you're spending 100% of your time just getting the grades in those classes. If you can get good grades in the classes and do a sport or volunteer or some other kind of extracurricular, that's fine. But if you're just focusing 100% of your time on these grades and you're getting good grades, I still think maybe you should back off a little bit and give some sort of time to any extracurriculars, outside activities you can do. Because like Ashley said, she isn't taking all full APs and everything, but she is doing outside activities which are going to benefit her for her application process.
And that's obviously going to help you with your college application. Back to the SATs, do you feel that, I mean, sometimes kids might over-prepare for the SAT, the ACT?
No, I don't think you can over-prepare for a test, because, I mean, if you over-prepare, it means you know everything, and that means you're going to get a 2400, but nobody gets a 2400.
Yeah.
So you can't over-prepare for it. I mean, sometimes over-preparing could actually get you a worse score, but practice is practice. Like, how are you supposed to know?
Yeah. And like we were talking about extracurriculars earlier, there's there's always opportunities outside of school during the school year, but also over summer, you know, with summer school, and maybe it's a time to get internships.
Exactly.
Sometimes it could be a nice break, but sometimes it's an opportunity to do those extracurriculars. Rusty, I think I heard that you're going to somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, over the summer I'm actually taking a business course in London, and I think that summer is a good chance for you to take a course in something that you have interest in, because during the year you really don't choose what you take. There's only a certain amount of things you can take, and they're required to graduate. So even though it is still a course, it's something that I want to be in. So it's not really like school for me. It's like kind of going into something you're interested in.
Brad?
Well, yeah, I think it depends on like the college and the major. If you're going to be a business major, then it's really good to take business classes and intern with whatever you want to do. Like, if you're going to be a chemist, you would want to take AP chemistry. You want to take these classes that are more well suited for the major you want to be in. So I think that you can use like summer and use these times to like hone in on your skills. But even if, like, once again, the chemistry, you don't really need to take it over summer. You can take it during class, and I think just whatever you want to do, whatever major you want to be in, just put your skills to that. Like, put APs like more suited to there, or like whatever you want to do.
Do you think if a student is trying to get an internship over the summer, if they're maybe interested in chemistry or engineering, they should get an internship that's based on their field, basically?
Yeah.
That would make the most sense. Patrick, do you have any plans for the summer?
I do have plans, nothing related to what I'm interested in studying in college, but it is another course. But it is like what Bradley and Rusty said, even though it may show up as school or educational related, it is still sort of like a vacation because it's something that you want to do. No one wakes up every morning excited to go to school, but if you wake up every morning in London getting ready to go to class, it will show up as a class, but it won't feel like it. It'll feel like something that you're excited to do. So I think it's definitely important and fun to take classes over summer.
Another class that I know you took over summer was at UCLA. Is that a little different from? Was that a better experience than taking it, you know, at a high school than opposed to taking it at an actual college campus?
Yeah, I actually took that class with Amin too. We both took that class. It was interesting just because it was different in the fact that like it gave you experience of what a real college class is going to be like, where most of your group, there really isn't any homework to be accountable for. Like, you have to be accountable yourself and do the reading, do the homework, and your grade is pretty much based upon just your final and midterm, or not even a midterm, just a final and an essay. And so it was interesting and kind of informative to learn what college is going to be like. And yeah, definitely more fun than just a high school class that in the same school that we go to every day.
Kinsey, do you have any plans?
For the past 3 years, I've used my summer to take history at summer school, and I am not focusing my major on history at all. And I use summer to get that class out of the way so I can focus my schedule during the school year on the classes that I want to take. And I've been using my summers for doing internships that have to deal with what I want to pursue. I have like internship with my doctor. This summer I have an internship with my chiropractor and with my sports medicine doctor. And I think using summer as a chance to go into the field in a more realistic way is a really good idea, and also to use your summer for getting a class over with that you don't want to take as much during the school year.
And I did the same thing as you. I took history over summer so that way I can open up, you know, electives of classes that I wanted to take, and it sounds like you did the same thing. Ashley?
Yeah, I, on the other hand, haven't taken classes over summer, but I'm waiting back to hear on internships for Ellen, Jay Leno, and a couple other shows to work on the set because I want to be a broadcast journalist. And so speaking with my college counselor really helped me to realize that if this is what I truly want to pursue, that having an internship with a television studio would really help look good on college and show that I'm dedicated to my major.
That's more part of the real world experience
Exactly.
that colleges might like to see. We've talked a little bit about extracurriculars. Does anyone maybe want to talk about some specific extracurriculars that they do outside of school during the school year? Patrick?
Well, I don't have many extracurriculars. I volunteer at an animal shelter a few times a month for a couple hours, but my main extracurricular really isn't an extracurricular, it's my sport. I run cross country and track for the high school, and that really takes up a lot of my time, plus with my schedule. So I think if you have a sport in high school, it takes up a lot of time, and it's kind of hard to fit in extra things on outside of that schedule between sports and grades. But on weekends or over week vacations or something, the extra day that the school will throw in, you can definitely fit something in. And you know, like I said, I volunteer at an animal shelter, but I know friends who do cleanups or who volunteer at Boys and Girls Clubs. So there are lots of things you can do if you have the time to fit it in.
And that the school is now trying to emphasize community service. They've implemented this service learning thing, which is 15 hours each year to graduate, and so that's part of your curricular is to work on those, community service hours.
Yes, and I'll also try to fit in, if I can, community service hours that relate to something I'm interested in. Like I volunteer for the Calabasas Cheetahs youth track and field team at meets or practices, helping set up and coaching. So it's an extracurricular activity that, I enjoy doing all of my extracurricular activities, but it's one that I especially enjoy because I can relate to all the kids that are out there working hard as well.
You said something about you coach or you help with the Cheetahs, the youth program, and that I do something kind of like that where I help out with the younger lacrosse teams, and I feel that kind of would demonstrate leadership, and I know that I'm getting hammered with that leadership. That's all I'm hearing right now for colleges, because that's one thing they really like to see is leadership. Do you guys feel that there's a really big stress on leadership?
I do feel like there is a very big stress on leadership, but also I don't think that you should be choosing to only take your internships or your extracurriculars or your volunteer work just because you want to get into college. It's not doing it for the right reasons. You should be volunteering because you want to help out a cause. It shouldn't just be to make yourself stand out on an application. It should be part of your application, but not all of it. And I definitely take my community service hours seriously, and I only choose to volunteer at places that really touch my heart and places that I have connections to and experiences with and family members involved in. So when I'm doing it, I'm not thinking about applying to college. I know it'll help me in the end, but
So really it's just more because you want to, not because...
You should be doing it for yourself and to help out a cause, not to get into college. It helps, but...
Kinsey?
I think that the community service is a very important part in what colleges want to see. And personally, I've done many leadership things over summer, such as being a counselor in leadership training at a camp that I go to. This summer, I'm also going to be a CIT at that camp. And I think colleges like to see the leadership aspect of that. I've also done things like you and Patrick have done where I help coach soccer teams. And I think that's really important to do something where you're getting community service for, but that you like to do, because if you're doing community service for, I wouldn't go to like a place like a history or political office to try to get community service from. I'd want to stay with what I'm interested in. I think colleges like to see that.
So you think community service should be done more in something that you like to do and you like to help out with and like
yeah,
that?
I definitely think that's important.
Yeah,
I want to study pre-med when I go to college, and I once a week go to the hospital, the West Hills Hospital, to serve my community hours. But I'm only there for 3 weeks, and in the other times, like Tuesday and Thursdays, I'm with Rusty at this library tutoring little kids. And we also, we're on the basketball team, so we help kids who have special needs to play basketball because they love playing the sport just as much as we do, and we want them to have a fun time.
So that's, again, more of community service in kind of the field that you're
right
basically
exactly.
interested in.
Right.
Brad?
Back to the leadership thing. I think it's always good that like they want to stress leadership and independence because it's always a good trait. But I feel like it's not like the only good trait that they need because you need to be able to like go with leaders and follow leaders. You can't always be the leader. So as well as growing your leadership traits and all of the like stuff like that, like leadership, independence, it's also good that students, they know how to follow and they know how to take directions and they know how to work with people. So I think it's always good that they're trying to stress that.
So you feel more that there is a leadership aspect, but students need to know how to work with people in general and not just be leaders, but also learn how to work with other people.
Yeah, and that's also what like being on sports teams or doing community service, you can help be a part of a team, help work with people, just grow those skills into something that colleges will want to get you and they want to like see in their students. So I think that doing all this community service, being on a sports team, there's no way that it can't help you. It looks good on college, on your resume, and it also just like what you gain from it. It's just always just great to have.
Going back to the college application, what are some things that maybe you think that would be a disadvantage or advantage? Like I know some people kind of like to maybe lie and write something not true in their essay to make themselves more appealing to the college. Do you think that it might be of your benefit if the college doesn't find out, or do you think that really it's not the right thing to do?
I think you should be getting into college based on who you truly are. I don't think if you know that you can't get into a certain university, you need to lie to get in. I think it's important that they know exactly who you are, the right kind of person you are, what you truly want to do, what you're going to bring to that school that differentiates you from somebody else. So lying just, puts you back in the majority of the other people who are lying on their resumes, and you're trying to stand out, but in reality, you're just being exactly like everyone else. So.
And another thing is, there's a lot of things to consider when applying to college. Whether if it's a big sports school, if that's what you're interested in, location is a big factor. And are these some of the things that maybe are factoring into your decision of where to apply, Kinsey?
Yeah, they definitely are factoring into my decision. I was born and raised in California, and I've been mostly looking at schools in California. I recently visited schools back on the East Coast, and I realized that I'm not a cold weather person and that I am focused on staying in California for school. Personally, for me, being at a school with like sports is also very important, especially because I want to play sports in college. And I think that location and weather for me is a very big aspect, and I want to stay close to home. So.
Rusty?
Personally, things like weather and location are not as big of a deal for me. The deciding factor for me is I want to go into business, so I want to go to the best school that's specialized in what I want to do, so that when I get out and I want to maybe get a master's in business or go into a company, I have the best chances at success because like they really specialized in what I wanted to go into. So it's not like the weather. I would deal with cold weather, warm weather. It doesn't really matter for me.
So your priority is more what the school specializes in, and then to make your maybe final decision, you'll go by
definitely
other factors. Patrick?
I think location and weather, sports, and campus atmosphere in general should play a big part in where you decide to go. Personally, I know friends of mine have gone to places that they think are fine. They haven't visited, but they think are fine, and they end up not liking it because the campus is dead. Everyone's like a social turtle and just doesn't really get out much. So I think a visit couldn't do you any harm, and taking into consideration everything they have to offer, sports especially provides a big, like a gathering of students, something to look forward to as the seasons go by. Weather, so you're not hating life every day of the year because you can't deal with the weather outside. So, obviously you want to go, like Rusty said, to a school that has a major that you're interested in and excels in that major, but you don't want to completely ignore every other factor that the school has to offer.
That's all the time we have today. Thank you for your input. This has been another episode of Calabasas Team Forum with your host, Max Goldwasser. To check out other episodes or to check out this one again, go to cityofcalabasas.com. See you next time, Calabasas Team Forum.